And then the theory of knowledge. So knowledge is data. And so there's a quote that it may or may not be attributed to Deming, but have you heard this quote before? So in God we trust, all others must bring data. So often people will come into some meeting and they'll say, oh, this is such a huge problem and we need to deal with it and we need to fix it, and they scramble to go fix whatever it is. And no one stops and says, well, exactly how big a problem is this and how common a problem is this? Is this something daily, weekly, monthly, once a year? And so we have seen where it's may not even be a problem at all. It's just one person that got very upset and created a fuss. And so there are all these changes made to accommodate one person, as opposed to spending the time and energy when it really wasn't a huge problem in the first place. So the example I have is this is if you go visit a doctor in a doctor's office, it's a common issue having to wait in the waiting room for your appointment. So the way you read this chart is that these are 5-minute increments on the bottom of the chart, starting with 21 to 25 minutes, because that was the shortest wait for one person. And then as you look through, there were 8 people that waited from 51 to 55 minutes. And then it trickles all the way. 7 had to wait an hour, 61 to 65 minutes. And then there were 10 people that had to wait over an hour and a half. So how long do you think is reasonable for waiting in a doctor's office for your appointment?
You have to wait more than 5 minutes.
I agree with you. I want to come in and be seen as soon as I walk in the door. If my appointment's at 8, I want to be seen at 8. And so they ask people come early. So do you ever go early for your appointments? So often people don't. I mean, if you're running from work and I have an hour and a half I'm expecting for this appointment, I'm going to get there right in time for my appointment. So this is unacceptable. So what happens is there are 2 people that at this doctor's office that register people in at the front desk. So here we just looked at when are patients scheduled. So in the morning, it's a cardiologist's office, they have 4 doctors working before lunchtime, and then after lunch they have 7. So in the morning, they have the appointments set up. We have one person at 8 a.m. That was probably the 20-minute person. And that's it. And I don't even know why 20 minutes. They should have been right away. And then you got 4 coming in at 8:30. So at 8:30, we have 2 people checking them in, 4 people all at once. And if you see how they've set up their schedule, they've got the patients all arriving at the same time, either at the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour. No one at the quarter hours. No one at quarter of, quarter after. So very few. So it's set up not to work. There's no way any of these people are going to ever get in on time, especially with the pile up in the afternoon. They only have 2 people working the front desk. You got 7 coming in. So the person that's scheduled at 1 o'clock, there's 7 people coming in at 1 o'clock. So you know right off the bat, they're going to be late. And everyone that follows after them are going to be even later. And that's how you ended up with the wait times being over an hour. So this one of the many fixes was to flatten out the schedule, to parcel people out every 15 minutes, to keep them coming in a steady stream and working them through. Now when the physicians initially said, hey, we need more exam rooms, we need more staff, their answer is always more money, more money, more money, to resources to invest, when it was a flow issue. If they had the right people in the right place at the right time, and they staggered the patients a bit, it would have been a lot steadier, and then they would have been able to accommodate everybody. So that's one of the examples of just looking at the data. So when there's an issue and someone's not getting their needs met, instead of throwing solutions, you collect the information and really take a look at what's going on. Well, part of it, it was a pile up of issues. So the beginning, it was just the check-in is where it all began. The backup began. Then they would have a medical assistant prepare the patients, and they were supposed to prepare two at the same exact time, which is physically impossible. So again, they added, so it was be 15 minutes in the front, an additional 15 just with the medical assistant not being available. They set up their template. So we had to redo all their templates. So how many patients they are allotted or not allotted, we had to change that because some had too many. And so, and they did need to add at least a third person up front. So when we staggered all the patients, they were coming in every 15 minutes. We also made them work through lunch. Instead of the physicians taking lunch all at the same exact time and having all the patients finish and come in at the same exact time, we staggered them as well. So they got their time for lunch, but in staggered fashion. So there was still a steady stream of patients coming. And then at the front, instead of going down to 0 people at lunchtime, they maintained 2 with the third rotating. So they were able to keep the flow. Knowledge, knowing what to measure and how to measure. And in the next segments of the education that I'm doing is all about the measurement, because that's really the driving force of how you know you're successful or not successful and where you need to focus your energy.